Welcome back, Kowalsky here, and I welcome you today to the 1951 World Chess Championship. Now, this is going to be disputed between the champion, Mikhail Botvinnik, and his challenger that earned his right to play in this tournament by competing in, the candidates tournament, and that is David Bronstein. Now, both players are really strong and they're going to offer us an exquisite match. Now, the way that it works, they play a 24-game match. If Botvinnik is able to, have the match tied until the end, like 12-12, he will retain the title. But if he loses, he gets a chance to play in a separate rematch match, for the title with the champion and the challenger, a three-way match. Now, the policy will change in the future, but this is the first FIDE championship match between two players. So, let's get into it. Now, Bronstein actually struck early and he won the first game, but then Botvinnik, showed his strength and made a little bit of a comeback. Now, in this game, Botvinnik has the black pieces and Bronstein has the white pieces. So, we have a Sicilian, we have an open Sicilian, and keep in mind, the Bronstein just won a match, so Botvinnik is looking for the bounce back. Now, we have seen a lot of games in this variation, and this is considered better for white, but it's definitely complicated enough to still be played even today. This is the Richter-Krause variation of the Sicilian. So we just have some normal moves, and in fact this game, up until move 20, people have reached it again and again throughout history. Maybe not with the exact move order, but definitely through transpositions. The whole thing is, black is having this massive chunk in the center, and white is trying to exploit that. We have a trade in the center, and now queen a5, putting pressure on some things. And now rook h to f1, and now h5. h5 is deciding to stop this move in the future, and also maybe to try to activate here further this pawn. It depends on how the game progresses, and here for white, a suggested move would be f5, but it's not quite really clear what you're doing, and black could just continue like this, because you cannot really take here. You don't really want to do that. You can, but it's quite complicated. Like, for example, bishop g4, and there are a lot of variations. I'm not gonna go in depth because it's just a lot of theory here. And now Botvinnik plays this move queen to c5, now offering a queen trade. Bronstein doesn't really want a queen trade, because if you just make a queen trade, now the position is equalized, and if black doesn't have any more problems, then black is better, because even if you're trying to threaten to win the pawn, you're just gonna push h4, as I told you previously. So queen d2 is tried by Bronstein, and now Botvinnik gets to activate his pieces, but in the end, white still retains a better position. So, Botvinnik tries to double up the rooks. Bronstein secures this pawn on a light square for his bishop, and now both players find their configuration of pieces. But here, rook e2 and just a4. But the approach that Bronstein took to the position, going b3 and now queen to c4 with this trade, and now king b3, it's alright, but it's not ideal. He should have at some point here, instead of a4, he should have just went on with his plan to double up, and then maybe slide out his queen, and then just have pressure here. And it's kind of hard, and a4 was designed to stop a4 by black, because now you might feel like you might be under a lot of pressure, but the fact is you're not really under a whole lot of pressure, because you're just in time with every single defense. Here, really important, I wanted to instinctively go king b1, but there's a problem if you go king b1, bishop takes, and now you cannot, you can go rook takes, but then you're gonna get this trade, and now you're gonna lose this pawn. So here, you could play a move like b3, and even though it seems like it's all falling apart, it's not. But the way that Bronstein did it now is just an equal position, because white's structure is bad enough, so it kind of rivals black structure. And here, both players try to find some sort of solution. They remaneuver the pieces a little bit until they finally found something. So Bronstein goes for a break to f5, but e5, keeping things closed. And now the position is quite solid here for white. And now he comes back with the knight. And here, Bronstein plays quite the crazy move. If I were playing this game, I would have definitely went knight b5, bishop takes, and now just c takes. And okay, the opposite color bishops, this might end in a draw, but at least I have this, threat of going for something here. Maybe c3, c4, and then maybe try to sack an exchange. But Bronstein sacks an exchange immediately, but now he is solid. But there's a downside. There's always a downside. He's down material. And here after knight e2, there's just a simple way that Botvinnik deals with this. He just sacrifices the material back. And now after a huge trade, well, white emerges up a pawn, up actually 2 pawns, but this is not gonna last too long, as now he loses this pawn, and here this position is a draw. And both the players play all the right moves: e5, c3 check, king is forced to move, knight h6, and now you just win this bishop. And you might ask yourself, why did I show you this game? Well, because you should be careful until the end of the very end of the game. And now, Botvinnik just played a normal looking move, e4, and now there are a couple of drawing moves. You can try king to c2, for example, e3. Now, it's very important not to go in with the king, because now a4 and you would lose this. But it's important to now come back with the knight d6. If e2 is played, just king d2, and now this pawn is not gonna reach anything further because you stop it like this. And now, for example, e1 queen, and now king e3, and black gets the draw anyway. Because it's gonna force the knight to move, then capture the pawn, or just capture this pawn. But Bronstein chose the approach with knight d8, and now after e3 he played a horrendous move. And if you go knight b8, you gotta be sure, like you gotta come back and deliver a check. It's just clear. It's clear as day, and now you're just gonna make a draw. But I don't know, Bronstein maybe wanted something more out of this. I cannot really understand. He played king c2, and now he's just really losing, and he just resigned on the next move. Because the whole point is, if king d3, king f2, and that's it. You can win a pawn, but that's it. You can win 2 pawns, but there's no way to make a fortress with these pieces. So he loses the game, and then the momentum of the match totally shifts in Botvinnik's favor. He wins a couple of games, but then Bronstein mounts a comeback, and this is game number 17. And at this point, I believe that yes, Bronstein was down a game. Bronstein was down a game up until this point, but then he played this game with the black pieces. Nimzo Indian. And this is actually the Bronstein variation, and quite the ambitious variation here. He takes on d5. We have a very imbalanced position, knight c6 with a lot of play. And now okay, castles, knight d2 and h5. And Bronstein is gonna be looking to start an attack. h4, and now knight into e4, and now a5. And Bronstein just expands and expands. And will Botvinnik just be able to defend? Rook c2, bishop d8, bishop d1, and now knight d7. So this knight is looking to come in here. Maybe you're gonna play g5. Who knows? Queen e2, knight d6, and now after f3, actually g5. And black is asking some really important question, like, okay, my knight was kicked back, but your knight is gonna get kicked back too. And now after queen e6, now I'm gonna have a target here. a4, okay, stopping even more expansion on the queen side as well. But now knight to g6, and it's looking like Black actually found it. Black found the right coordination of moves, and it's not easy to stop it. And here, a fun fact: knight f5 is definitely playable. You attack here, and you're just threatening all sorts of moves in the future. You're not threatening anything right now, but it's just an unpleasant position. Like if white, for example, tries to double up, just rook e8, and now you might be hit with this threat. You have to defend, you have to move out of the way. Now rook c8, and you might get hit with this. Black has a lot of pressure. h3, and now Bronstein goes for it. He plays f5. This is not the most accurate move. The knight f5 would have been better technically, but it definitely poses a lot of problems, and Botvinnik goes wrong right away. Bishop c3, trying to make everything solid here and make everything work, but it's impossible. Just bishop f6. And as I've previously told you, once all of the pieces arrive to the party, it's not looking beautiful for white. Now this position is still in the balance according to the computer, but as we see again and again, that doesn't mean anything when you're faced with this much pressure. We have Alechin's gun, as it's called here, and everything is lined up, and now f4. Finally, we break through. And the thing is, Botvinnik actually cracked. So this happened, knight goes back, this is attack, you try to keep everything together, but you cannot. Knight h2, and here, Bronstein misses a little bit of a critical idea, but in the end, he still retains a better position. What I really want to say is that Botvinnik here, for the lack of a better move, he tried this fork, but now this is just a one-move blunder, and you can all see why. I hope you can find it immediately. Bronstein immediately spots it. We have queen takes, and Botvinnik resigns. And he resigns because of this, and now you're just lost. I mean, you're down a full piece. Plus, this is checkmate in one. And Bronstein made a huge comeback. And after game number 22, that I'm going to present you right now, he was, with 2 games to go in the Dutch defense, he was able to pull something incredible off. So first of all, we have this kind of trade here, and now we have the knight kicked out. And here the thing is, black doesn't have all that many options, so he tries to go g4, trying to find some sort of tactical way to solve the position. But bishop h3, knight goes back, and now knight comes into f4, and white actually is looking good in this position. Bishop to d6, and now b4, trying to lock everything here so that you're not going to get attacked on the queen side. And now actually a4, and you're going to see there's going to be a lot of tension here after b5. The problem is, you don't really want to take here as white, because now it takes b5, and okay, the rook may be able to come in, and you might try to double up, you might try to go bishop to d7 in the future. At the same time, as black, you don't really want to capture here as well, because then your pawns are going to be weak. So we have this upward tension here on the queen side. And what can happen on the king side if the queen side is stuck? Well, black is going to try to make some progress here. He attacks the pawn, the bishop is forced to come back, and now just queen to b2. This queen to b2 has a lot of interesting ideas. First of all, it just reinforces this pawn, but then it has this really interesting way of just maybe potentially bringing in the rook here, or bringing in the rook here, right, to the f2 square. And all of this was taken into consideration, of course, but now Bronstein chooses rook a1. And Botvinnik tries to come in aggressively, but just bishop sides back, no trade, and now just queen b3. And here, I mean, there is an opportunity. Like, for example, let's say you go rook c8. Like, there is a chance. This is not really good right now because just bishop e6, and then the queen is actually trapped. But there is a chance that in some variations, you never know, this sacrifice might be possible, like in some way. So that's why, for safety measures, Botvinnik just moves his king out of the way. Plus, this kind of enables him to take back here more easily, which in a couple of moves he actually does. But now you see when the tension is actually resolved, there's usually one of two outcomes. First, the side that actually set up an attack actually has something, and two, the side that defense actually has something and it's not worse. But this time that doesn't happen, and rook a7 is just a really nice move. And you would think, okay, well, just rook a8 and I'm safe, right? But it doesn't really work like that, because the queen can go back to d1. This pawn is nicely guarded twice against this battery. There's a lot of tension here, like if you take, this bishop maybe goes to e6, but now just, for example, bishop takes, f takes, and this queen h5 move. And I've had this games here in the Dutches, and they are just sometimes so hard, because you see this geometry of the board, and you can just, oops, I skipped a couple of moves from this explanation, and you can just threaten checkmate. It's not crushing here, because rook e7, for example, rook takes now, for example, queen takes, and knight f4, and maybe black survive this, but again, just you gotta watch out for all of these different threats. And now it's not easy, so when it's hard, it's really easy to go wrong. And now knight e5, you cannot take this knight here, because now you just lose the bishop, but then you can also get pinned here on the long diagonal. You don't want to do that. So bishop to e8, and now just g4, a really nice move by Bronstein, deflecting this pawn away to now capture the knight and go bishop h4, pressuring this rook into sacrificing itself, now trying to get some counterplay here. But in the end, just rook f1, the queen is forced to move. Bishop g3, now threatening something really nasty, like if takes. Now we have check, queen to g8, and this would have been checkmate. A beautiful checkmate. And now bishop to g7 is played, but simply we have queen takes, and now bishop takes, and white would be up 5 points of material, clearly winning. So Bronstein now, in his two final games, he either needs to win or to draw 2 times. And Botvinnik, feeling a little bit stressed, he's gonna come back, right? Because he's the world champion, okay? So he has the white pieces. He's gonna try to make something happen. We have an Indian defense here, and this, slowly turns into like, a symmetrical try position. Bronstein really played this to perfection. And what if you're trying to draw, which position, like what kind of better position can you have for a draw? I mean, this is literally symmetrical. Okay, white has the bishop for the knight, but it's no big deal here. You just exchange queens. Okay, you have a slightly worse structure, but now you're just simply active. And the thing is, white can try, and white tried really, really hard this game now. You're gonna defend the pawn, of course, nothing is gonna happen here. The knight comes back. Okay, now you try to play b3 to shut this down, but now beautiful remaneuvering here by Bronstein, getting the other knight involved, and now a crucial move here by Botvinnik. The thing is, if you play something like h4, this is just dead. The game is now not only dead, but it's losing because of a simple tactic. And I'm gonna let you find it. This tactic here, I mean, it's not complicated. You just take and you just take, and then if the rook moves, for example, to d1, now just knight c3 check, and if the queen moves over to a1, now just knight b4, and you're forced. This is coming. It's quite bad. So a4 is played, and now there was this option of going knight a3 for Bronstein, but he just chose the safe option. Logically, he just maneuvers the knight and now threatens to come here to b4. This repositioning of the knights actually proved not to be the best, as you will see. But okay, I mean, black is still doing really, really fine. Knight a5 now, rook c8, and now we have a huge trade, and this has to be a draw. I mean, literally, black even gets up a pawn here in this endgame. But white has the two bishops. And it's not gonna be easy for black to draw this. This is a draw, yes, and there are a lot of ways to draw this, but it's not always easy. And Bronstein goes wrong. He plays f5. Here, if he had played, maybe like a tamer move, like knight c6, and got this position. Now, this is maybe not the easiest position to defend. Like maybe this is gonna be a threat, but in the end, you're gonna be able to defend everything. And if f4 ever happens, and now you can go f5, and now you actually have something, because if the position is this close, then the knights actually are better than the bishops. But Botvinnik was able to open up the position, and now all of a sudden his bishops come alive. And now it's kind of bad for Bronstein, but why? You might say, isn't this just trading down, and now there are like 3 pawns left? Okay, you might lose this pawn here, you might even not lose this pawn, but h4, and you have to look at the quality of the pawns as well. These pawns are doubled, plus they're not going anywhere, right? This is just defended, and this pawn just has a clear path. If you won't be able to defend this pawn, let's be honest. If you try to defend this, you're just gonna h5, yeah, king f6. It's just here. If you try to go back, you lose this pawn, for example. And this is a beautiful tactic here. Knight takes b7, and now king to c4. And you're actually lost because there's no way to prevent this. Knight a5 check here, and now you're losing this other knight because look at this monster bishop, just defending everything. So you're always subjected to this wild tactics, and Bronstein in the end here kind of misses a final way to find maybe some sort of salvation here with h5 here. He would have had maybe some sort of a chance, but in the end, in this kind of a variation, he eventually runs out of moves. And now, actually, I kind of lied a little bit. Now knight e7, as you can see there, knight e7, this was the last actual resort to draw. Maybe. This is not solved, this is not table based, but the key takeaway is that in this variation right here, black would have had this nice move b5, forcing a trade, or a5 is possible, but knight to c7 now trying to come back, b6, now knight b5 check, king is forced to d3, otherwise you lose the pawn, and now this nice move, knight a3 or knight d6. For example, knight d6 makes more sense than knight d3. Knight a3 to go to c4, but this also goes to c4 as well. And here you would lose this pawn, but you would go to c4, bishop f3 for example. You would take this pawn, maybe play this, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces, still not table based. There would have to be one last pawn, but this looks much more drawable than what happened in the game, and that is this position here. And now you see white slowly moving forward, winning this pawn eventually here, bishop f3, threatening both these pawns, forcing the knight to go back, because if you try to come forward with this knight, now just bishop c7 and you lose this pawn. And yeah, well, in the end, Bronstein was just lost here. After bishop g5, he resigned. And that brings us to the last and final game. The match is tied. Can Bronstein pull off a miracle? And we have a Slav defense. I mean, Botvinnik is not going to try to play this dry. Botvinnik is going to try to play this like the desert. I mean, not only dry, but you're literally dying while playing the game. And probably that's what Bronstein felt. He tried to go for a little bit of more aggressive variation here, dynamic and everything, but now just simply h6, you kick out the bishop, you take the pawn, and actually in the end, Botvinnik just played really solid, and he kicked out the queen g3. Bronstein is trying to create some chances. Okay, now the pawn structure is a little bit weaker. Bishop tries to to get it to this beautiful diagonal, but just rook d8, and there's nothing concrete here. Rook d3, bishop b7, and now the game ends in a pretty brutal fashion for Bronstein. Rook e3, and now can you spot? It's not a winning move, but it's just a really nice sequence, a two-move sequence. Rook d4, bishop c5, rook d1, and after this trade, the players agreed to a draw, as black is simply up a pawn with no compensation whatsoever by white. And so long as black doesn't do anything stupid, such as going rook to d8, thinking that, oh, this is just a free trade, and then getting hit with queen a7, and now all of a sudden you're losing everything, black would be fine. And I think Botvinnik would not have played rook d8 in this position. He offers a draw, the draw is accepted, and Bronstein, well, fails to win. A beautiful defense by Botvinnik, and yeah, as he will prove, he was a genuinely worthy champion. I'll see you all in the next Wednesday. Kowalsky.